at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, September the 5th, and I hereby call this regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council to order. Could you please bow your heads for invocation by Councilman Clark?
Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening thanking you for all you've done for us. Thank you for the freedoms we have. Thanking you for the beautiful community you have given us to live in, and thanking you for this country. We have plenty to be thankful for, but yet don't deserve all you have done for us. We sometimes take it for granted, and please help us to be mindful of these things. We come here tonight to make the best decisions we can for our city and its residents. These decisions affect not only our lives today, but also the growth of Diamond Head and its future families that will call this place home. Guide us with your wisdom and discernment. Continue to bless us all and keep us safe in your arms. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor DeBrio,
Here.
Councilmember Finley,
Here.
Councilmember Lisi,
Here.
Councilmember Cumberland,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Marr.
Here.
Councilman Cumberland, can you hear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you say something? Can you hear okay?
Yes, I can hear. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
we can now.
Okay, great, thanks.
All right, could I get a motion to confirm the agenda? Motion made by Councilman Clark, could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Finley, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We need to do roll call all tonight because we have one member on the phone. So, City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi,
Here.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. The next regular scheduled meeting of the City Council will be held on September 19th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the City Council chambers located at City Hall. The annual Paddle Paradise event will be held Saturday, September 23rd at the South Kayak Launch. Participants may register in advance on the city's website or on-site registration beginning at 8 a.m. in the morning of the event. Y'all, this is a very fun event. If you haven't done it, you need to come out. Last year, Councilman Marr was out there in a kayak, and I was cheering him on, and Miss Penny has an alligator chasing her. So with that being said, if anybody came in late, I'm going to give you another few minutes if you want to sign in for an agenda or non-agenda public comment. Just come to the front, see the city clerk, and sign up. And with Miss Penny, would you mind standing? Miss Penny Crawford, Diamond Head resident, volunteer on every committee. Her and Ping won the competition that they were just on for the boat story that she had written. And how many years? How many years you all owned that boat, Miss Penny? Since 1965. Her photos are beautiful. So congratulations. We're all excited with you. And take plenty of pictures and share with us.
Thanks to everybody who voted for us. We absolutely appreciate it. Unbelievable.
Congratulations. All right, on another happy note, well, this is a very happy note. Diamond Head Senior Village is happy to announce that Diamond Head will be the first city in the state of Mississippi to be a dementia-friendly community. Championed by the Southern Mississippi Planning and Development District, SMPDD, Area Agency on Aging, Dementia-Friendly Diamond Head is spearheading efforts to advance dementia friendliness through training and education across all sectors of the community. Educational efforts will be virtual dementia training, publications for consumers, community presentations, and various community activities that highlight available dementia resources. Informed by a survey conducted by Diamond Head Senior Village, Dementia-Friendly Diamond Head's action team is planning additional ways to increase dementia friendliness throughout the community. So congratulations and thank you, Diamond Head Senior Village. I see we have a few members here. Job well done, and we're looking forward to this. City Attorney, is there anything the city needs to do to hop on board to make sure that the police, the fire department are on the team, but do we need to we have a proclamation for November. Do we need to do anything?
This is the first I'm hearing of it, but let's get together
Okay.
and we'll look into it.
Because we're
I'm
ready
sure
to.
there's some stuff we can
I'm
do
sure there
to
is.
support.
There's always legal things. Okay, this Saturday on September 9th at 10 a.m. in the activity room at City Hall, Keep Diamond Head Beautiful will be handing out free Delilah bulbs. So they are free to all the residents that would like one. The event will last until all bulbs are handed out. Keep Diamond Head Beautiful will also have a sign-up sheet. We're down to a handful of members, and we need members to join. And we're also going to have a display on trees that we're planning on planting. So make it a point to swing by, get your bulbs, and sign your name to volunteer. I see a lovely group here that loves to volunteer. All right, proclamation. So, John, would you like to come forward? This is a proclamation recognizing the National Library Card Sign-Up Month.
Good evening, Council. Yes, September is National Library Card Sign-Up Month. I think I gave you the
Yes.
proclamation and everything. It's a time where we can promote, market, and advertise to continue to do that, but all of the programs and services that we have available to the community of Diamond Head and Hancock County. And it's just something that I think if, libraries have changed drastically over the course of the last few decades. It's not just about books and reading anymore. It's now more inclusive than ever in terms of everyone's learning style. I'm a prime example of that, in the fact that learning by reading and writing was like my lowest way of receiving information, and now with all the different technologies and resources, it's expanded and it's inclusive to all learning styles, and that's where the library has gone towards. And so we are now trying to market and promote that to the different learning styles, where it's not just about reading and writing anymore. It's about absorbing information that best fits the people of the community. So thank you.
Excellent. So I'm going to read your proclamation. The Hancock County Library System oversees and operates public libraries in the communities of Bay St. Louis, Diamond Head, Kill, Pearlington, and Waveland, and serves residents of the entire Hancock County area. The library system offers multiple programs and services that benefit communities and are normally available with little or no cost to the patrons. Additionally, Hancock Library System manages a website that further enhances its many members through a 24/7 online access. In the United States, September is designated as National Library Card Sign-Up Month. Whereas libraries are cornerstones of democracy, promoting the free exchange of information and ideas for all, and whereas libraries help people of all ages navigate the complexities of life, providing access to research, information, and government services that allow everyone to lead a more productive and fulfilling lives. And whereas libraries contribute to a strong local economy by building access to technology and training that are critical to the success of entrepreneurs, job seekers, and students. And whereas libraries strive to develop and maintain programs and collections that are diverse as the populations they serve and ensure equality and access for all. And whereas libraries are welcoming and inclusive spaces for all people of all backgrounds to learn to get together, engage with one another across cultural, economic, ethnic, generational, and economic lines, strengthening the social fabric of the communities they serve. And whereas in times of crisis, libraries and library professionals play an invaluable role in supporting their communities, both in person and virtually. And whereas libraries play a critical role in the education and development of children, from story time for preschoolers to college age to career planning for high schoolers, fostering literacy through love of learning and reading. And whereas a library card sparks creativity, empowers all people to explore new passions and interests, and pursue a path of lifelong learning. And that been said, that the smartest child that you can have, smartest card that you can have in your wallet or purse is your library card. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Diamond Head, Mississippi hereby proclaims September 2023 as Library Card Sign-Up Month. Diamond Head encourages everyone who may not have a valid library card to sign up for your own library card through the local library today. You do an outstanding job. Thank you very much. You want to come up and?
Sure.
Okay, get presented. You want to come back up here and let me?
I'll Photoshop you in, John.
Ready, 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. And now we're going to move on to the Hancock County Library System 2023 update.
So I was here in June talking about the trend with our branch here in Diamond Head and gave a little bit of history of programs and services that we offer to the residents here in Diamond Head. What I failed to mention or did not talk about is kind of the history of the library here in Diamond Head and where we got to where we are today. So many of you know, many in this room has been here way longer than I have, so you guys are more experts on this. But there's some key details that I would like to just plug in there for everybody to be aware of. So the library here in Diamond Head was funded through a grant because of Katrina. And when that happened, it was great. We went from a 4-branch system to a 5-branch system. What didn't happen with that was our increase into operational expenditures. So what happened was we went from 4 to 5 branches, keeping the same amount of funding levels across the board. And in fact, one of our city funding authorities have actually decreased the amount that we actually receive. So since Diamond Head was established, our funding from funding authorities has actually decreased, but it spread us thin in terms of the resources that we need to continue to provide the great customer service that we do at all 5 of our branches. And so it is my duty and it is my job to try to explain that to you all in the sense that the libraries in this county is, if not the best library system in the state of Mississippi. I will argue to death anybody. We are above, the stats just came out, and we are way above many of the systems in the state of Mississippi. And it's evident in the stats that Diamond Head is even being used more than Bay St. Louis, Waveland. The increase is there, but in order to continue to provide the great customer service, because we are introducing a lot more things such as technology, Glowforge, 3D printers. We're now, in about a month or so, you're going to be able to check out metal detectors, microscopes, telescopes, a lot of hands-on things that the community has been asking for. But what that comes with is staff time and training. It's not just books where you just check it out and check it out, check it in, check it out. There's time, there's staff time that's associated with all of this. It's learning the technology. It's hands-on with many of the people here in this room in your community that come into the library and utilize these things that we are bringing to them. But in order to keep up with that and the customer service, the staff, myself, the system, we need help. And that's why I'm asking you all for the increase for fiscal year '24 to support another staff member so that we can really continue the great system that we have been doing over the past few years. And I've heard nothing but great things about the library system and everything that we're doing and the new creative ways that we're reaching our community. If we want to continue that, this is my ask. This is what we need. And if you could find it somehow to support this request for fiscal year '24 going forward with another staff member, we wouldn't be able to do half the things that we do daily for the past few years if it wasn't for many of our great volunteers within the community, because they're there, but the volunteers can't do certain tasks that are associated with privacy information and technology and things of that nature. They could check in and check out books, they can go shelf read and things of that nature, but they can't do certain tasks, and that's what we need the staff. That's what we need that money for. So
Okay. Give me 1 second, John. Hey, I'm gonna put you on my cell phone. Okay. Can you hear John?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear.
Ooh, we can really hear you now. You're louder than me, and I'm pretty loud. Okay, this is good.
So the last thing I just wanted to cover before I take a seat is the staff hours associated with each branch. In June, I showed you the stats of how we are neck and neck with Bay St. Louis. Well, Bay St. Louis has 200 staff hours tied to their branch. Diamond has 129. So that's in comparison of interactions, transactions. Bay St. Louis has 200 staff hours. Diamond Head has 129 staff hours. So weekly.
And your request was normally, I think since 2015, is that correct? It's been a long time back. We've been given 30,000.
Yeah, it was increased.
It was many moons.
Yeah.
We've been given 30,000.
Our-
So your request is for 41,000 on top of the 30 so that you can get another employee.
Correct.
To keep things running as well as they are.
Correct. That is correct, Mayor.
Okay. Any questions? All right. And you all do a tremendous job. I can't say
It's my
enough.
staff. It's my
I
staff.
had a question. Hey, and thank you for all your work and what you do. If for some reason I don't think anybody doesn't want to give you the money, but if we don't have it, is there another way we can assist y'all possibly with fundraising or some other way that we can help individual, as worker bees?
Yeah. It just all depends. It's Jerry's here, and she's the one who's at that branch 24/7. She comes in, covers.
Are there any
staff.
coordinated fundraising efforts right now?
That's all through the foundation,
Okay.
and unfortunately, the foundation cannot supply funds. If it goes to the foundation, they cannot supply the funds to pay salaries or operational costs because that's the obligation of the funding authorities between the interlocal agreement.
Okay.
Do you have, one last question, do you have what the other cities are paying?
Yes, so Diamond Head's 30,000. Bay St. Louis is 166 or 67, 67,000, and then Waveland's about 130,000.
And the
And then
county
The
does
county,
the
the
majority?
county gives 1.204 million, and then we get about 100,000 from 100 to 120,000 in gaming revenue from the slipper, and that's all on a percentage based. So that's where we get the funds from. And the county, we haven't received any increases. My staff haven't received any increases in funding increases for their salaries or wages in the past 7-8 years. My branch managers who are exempt, they legally had to be bumped to pay because we were below the legal amount to pay them to call them exempt. So everyone prides themselves about giving their staff and the county employees and whatnot raises, and I consider my staff also part of the county, and they haven't received any funding increases just for cost of living adjustments. I've asked, we just haven't received them. So
Well, thank you. I mean, you all do. I am in the library. I see the library. I see what the workers do. They go above and beyond. Do I think the city of Diamond Head is putting their fair share toward the library system? I think, no, we're not. Do we need to look for it, search for it? That's my goal, is to look for it and search for the additional 41,000, because you all go above and beyond. You are an asset to people that can't afford, and I know if you can afford all the luxuries in life, it's very difficult to understand, but there are people that can't afford the internet that go and utilize the library. It is a resource that people need, and the way the country's going, it's going to be needed even more. So we need to do what we can to help.
yeah, we through our strategic plan, we did a market segmentation, and there's a large population of Hancock County that's one flat tire away from a very large headache, not knowing where they're going to go, and we're here to support them in any way possible.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank
And I'm
you.
going to let people that signed up to talk about the library funding come up now. So first, we're going to start with Mary. And we are on a 3-minute timer, Mary, so give me 1
Do
second.
you
to-
think I'm going to
Oh,
talk
wait.
too long?
Oh, yes, because John, can you hear? Mary, I love you and I know you, so I'm just saying we need to get the timer.
I can hear.
Okay, I'm not going to put the timer on, John, because it'll be buzzing in your ear.
Good move. My name's Mary Gobert. I've lived in Diamond Head for 41 years this month. And I do remember when the library opened, it was such a source of civic pride to everybody. It was awesome. And Chuck Ingram, our first mayor, he said, the library is a stepping stone to our city. What follows that is economic growth. So why should we come up with this extra money? It kind of sounds like the library is part of the economic growth, at least a part to somebody who should know. Another reason to fund the library is something that John Berdeka just said. They do more with less. The Bay gives over $100,000 and has fewer patron interactions and has fewer staff than we do. So I think as giving sensible people, we can see that there's a need to fill that gap. Another reason we should be increasing our funding is because, as John also said, volunteers fill a lot of the gaps that this funding issue has created, but volunteers don't have to show up every day. Volunteers can not come and then service is interrupted to the extent that the volunteers contribute. So that's another reason. Another reason is, as Mayor DePrio pointed out, some people need the library. Some people don't need the library for the computer or the book, but the library is always there to provide a sense of community. It has also been said that the library is the living room of a community. I like that much better than the country club or, the 19th hole. This just sounds much better. So let's think about it as the living room. And there are communities there. The Diamond Head's population is 38% people 60 and over. A lot of them go to the library. On the other end of the spectrum, we have the littles. Their moms take them to the library for story time, check out books, go to the children's room. They use the library a lot. These are all part of our community, these little micro communities, and they need the library. Now, we are an educated and progressive city. Let's show the world that and increase our funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And next, we have Jerry.
I'm Jerry McCluskey. I'm the branch manager, and I've been the branch manager since the doors opened in 2013. My husband and I are Diamond Head residents. We raised our 3 children here. They graduated from Hancock High. When our kids were in school, we weren't blessed to have the library here, so it was always crazy runs to the Kill or the Bay. But I'm not going to stand here and waste your time and reiterate what they so eloquently said. I'm just going to say that when we opened in 2013, there were 2 full-time employees. I was one of them. We had 1 more. And we, thank God, had dedicated volunteers, several which are in this room tonight and who have stayed with us, and that's how we make it. I'll give you a classic example today. One of our employees recently resigned unexpectedly, and another one got diagnosed with COVID, who was supposed to help cover because the other 2 part-time people were off. So my staff is very dedicated. We had to tag team to get the hours covered. When I make the schedule, I do it in pencil. We're cutting and pasting to cover. We really try to serve the community. All of my ladies think that it's not just a job, it's more like a vocation, and they're committed, and we want to continue to provide the service that y'all expect of us. But we are going to need some help to do that. So I'm asking you, and I know you have a difficult job. I know the constituents that elected you, they want you to push our city forward. But if you could, please relook at your budgets and see if you can't find a little bit more money. Because if we fund the library, I think it's a win-win for the community that uses it now and for future people who are thinking about moving here. So I thank you for your time, and just give us some thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. And you and your staff and the volunteers, out of all the libraries, I think we have the best. Y'all do an outstanding job. You do. Councilman Clark.
What is your hours of operation and how many days are y'all
We're
open?
open 6 days a week. On Mondays, we're open from 9 to 5. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 to 6. Wednesdays and Fridays, 8 to 5, and Saturdays, 9 to 4.
It's a lot of hours. Okay. Next, we have Mary Coyne Jackson.
Thank you,
Thank
Mayor
you.
Debrico. I frequent the library twice a week, at least. And so I get to see a whole lot of things that these wonderful librarians do. Chuck, it's as busy as Rouse's sometimes. And what you see are grandparents and mothers and fathers with kids and doing all kinds of things. So sometimes we have to wait. So when Jerry says we need some more staff, it's really to help with the workload that they graciously provide. And I want to say they're busy, 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 but they are incredibly gracious and a real credit to the city of Diamond Head. So you can get timely books, you can get help. We were going to Colorado, we got help right away with what we should do. Mayor DeBrio mentioned that we have been named a dementia-friendly city and an aging-friendly community, and those programs rely very heavily on library resources. Family caregivers will rely heavily on that. So on behalf of the Senior Center, I'd like to say they're busy, but they're going to be busier with the demands that families have in the hardship of dementia. Our community can help, but we absolutely need our library to assist us in that endeavor. So I would strongly recommend digging a little deeper in the pockets, maybe dispersing some things, but thank you to our library.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Was that the last person to speak on the library? Okay. So any comments from the council? I just want to make one comment. If we could look at the budget later on and see if we can do a budget amendment, find money anywhere that we can, let's be open-minded. We may have sales tax revenue that comes up. Let's not forget the library and the 41,000 that they need for another employee, because it is a vital asset to the community. So can we look at that and see? Okay, thank you. All right, moving right along here. Let me see where we are. Yes, and then we'll do public comments. Okay, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick update on projects we have going on. The Park 10 Road pre-construction meeting was held on August the 24th. Notice to proceed on that project was issued on the 30th. The contractor should have started today, and that contract will run for 270 calendar days, currently set to end on June the 1st. That is phase 1 of the commercial district transformation project that we have. The second big project we have is the Noma Drive restoration. That pre-construction meeting was held also on the 24th. The notice to proceed is being issued on September the 11th. That contract's for 150 days and currently set to end on February the 7th. That will pave the entire Noma Drive and restore that total road bed. And that is what we consider phase 2 of the commercial district transformation project. Phase 4 paving was remobilized. The contractor has paved most of Bayou Circle and the surrounding streets. The project is set to end on the September 15th. I'm waiting to hear back from the engineer on a completion date on that. It should be already done, and we'll do a walkthrough to finalize any other issues that may be on that project. The Diamond Head Drive paving project to pave the entire Diamond Head Drive east, south end, or east, west, and north. The pre-construction meeting is set for tomorrow morning. We will have issue a notice to proceed probably after the Cruise on the Coast event, which is in the first Wednesday in October. So we'll have them out there after that event is over so that they can start paving on that entire loop. The Noma Drive utility, the substantial completion on that was issued on the 30th of August. We have a walkthrough scheduled for tomorrow as well, and the contract end date on that one was September the 2nd, so they did meet that date. The McKeekee Drive project has been advertised, and the bids are due back to us on September the 25th. The notice to award should be on our October 3rd agenda, unless whatever we get back on the bids comes in odd. Of course, we have several, all of our rest of our ARPA projects and Go Mesa projects for drainage. Let's see, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 different projects that we have going on, as well as the bank stabilization project. So we have a lot of drainage projects going on. So if you see engineers or anyone in the area, they're probably doing surveying work right now to get topos and everything, and then they'll start designs and get back to us. I gave a list to our city engineer of the projects he has for priority, and our main priority is going to be on not Colo Court, but Comey Drive for bank stabilization, as well as on that project, due to just the issues in the back of their properties and the backyards everything falling in on the ditches there. So that's the biggest one we've got working on, but they've done a lot of design work and topo on a lot of these other projects already.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna start with questions, if that's okay. This is a city attorney question. I had a resident reach out about, and her name's Kristen, so if you're out there watching, she had something to do tonight that she couldn't come. Military family that moved here, then her mother decided to move here. They love Diamond Head so much, they've moved here. Where she came from, the state she lived in, had a community-wide yard sale event on Saturday morning biannually, one in October and one in March. So they are interested in doing a county-wide yard sale, a citywide, so everybody in the city would be able to sign up using a JOT form, And then we would let the whole county know this is where the yard sales are and do a big community yard sale. So the legal question is, does each homeowner need to get a permit, or do you need to research this? Because this is very unique.
This is the first I'm hearing of it.
Yes, it's the first. We're
so
excited.
Let me look.
Okay.
Just be aware as well, whatever POA rules are out there that may
We
or
have to
may
do
not
those.
govern that as well. But
Okay.
I'll take a look.
And can I let her reach out to you as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, and let's see what we can do, because that's something unique. Nobody else does that around here, and it would bring visitors to Diamond Head. Questions on the leased football field property, and this is probably legal questions. We have 200 children coming to play football on Saturday, is where we're at today. So the question is, and I'm still very confused about this, is the lease with the Diamond Head Youth Football with the city, or is the lease with the POA?
We do not have a lease with the Diamond Head Youth. We have asked the POA for documents that they've got. I'm not sure that they've got one in place or not. John, have you gotten anything back from the POA?
I have not, but our insurance does cover anything that we perform down there, or any activities that are performed down there.
Yeah, we did put our insurer on notice. We've got confirmation from them that we're in good standing. We need to take a look at that with the POA and how that works and what they've got in place and whether we need to do anything additionally. But from an insurance standpoint, we're in good shape.
Okay, and not even looking at from the insurance standpoint, but I'm glad they are. That was the first question, and the city manager answered that for me a while back, because that was my first concern. I just didn't know who had the lease, and who's in charge of, because here's where we are today. The restroom trailers, out of 3 restrooms, 1 is working. So now we've got the little cheerleaders and the football players, and there's 1 restroom working, and there's no electricity. So they can't turn the lights on to even use the restroom. So we're thankful that there's lights, but 2 of the restrooms are not working with 200 people coming Saturday. There's no power out there. So who is in charge of fixing the restrooms and getting the power back on?
Another good question, and we will be talking with the POA. As far as I look at it, we do not have an exclusive lease on that property. The POA still has some management role with respect to that. Again, we don't have a lease with the Diamond Head Youth Sports. So I'm assuming the POA does, but I don't know if they do or not. So we'll have to take a look at that.
So if we lease the property like we did, what are we liable for? You got to look at what we are, because this is this is turned into a mountain. Okay. Then, so the electrical's not working. You're going to check on that as well? Who is responsible for paying the utility bills out there now?
Right now, I don't think the lease addresses it. John, we can take a look at that. I don't think that the lease addresses it. So it was just a very basic lease. The intention of it was that it was an option for the city to use the areas around the ball field, especially for a potential dog park. It looks like that's not one of the potential sites now, so it's, we may want to look into it, whether we still even need the lease. But it's something we need to look into. So we've been talking about it. So.
Okay. And the other thing was the fields need to be striped. And in the past, the POA would stripe the football fields for the players to come out. And I bring all this up because our youth are very vital in Diamond Head,
No,
and our
absolutely.
youth athletics is, when my children were little in Diamond Head, there was soccer, there was t-ball, there was baseball, there was everything going on. And now we're down to the swim team and the football league. And the football, they're playing on Saturday, but like I said, 200 people is using 1 restroom. The concession stand trailer, who's in charge of that?
On the day of the event, I'm assuming that's covered by
Oh, the youth
lease.
league will be doing it, but I mean, it's in dire
And
need
again,
of some.
as I say, I don't look at that as an exclusive lease, and I don't, the POA's got a lease with Diamond Head Youth Sports as well, so we just have to take a look at what that language is.
And can we
But-
check on that with striping the fields, because that needs to be done by Saturday?
I can look, but again, I would think that would be the POA because they've been the ones that have been doing it, but I'll double check. We can reach out to Ernie see what their plan is.
All right. The other question I had was the Twin Lakes property. So the city did receive a letter dated July 21st, 2023 from Diamond Head Water Sewer District. The letter stated this letter is intended to serve as an official notice by the Diamond Head Water Sewer District to the city of Diamond Head that an underground sanitary sewer pipe and sanitary sewer manhole structure exists within the area of the city's proposed dog park on the northeast bank of the lower lake of Diamond Head East as shown in the construction drawings. Neither the pipeline nor the gravity line nor the manhole can be relocated, all which the manholes within the district system access is critical in the manholes serve as relief points for the entire sanitary sewer system. Flood events block lawns by serving as overflow points. The manhole at the Twin Lakes has numerous documented events in which the manhole has to serve as a relief point. What actions has the city taken in response to this letter and in the response to the complaints from the residents about the sewage going in the Twin Lakes?
Is that for legal or for John?
I would say legal.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
You can pass it to John.
No,
Does anybody want to answer that?
No, I mean, you know, the Diamond Head Water Sewer District has, in their letter, they reference that there have been documented events. And so those events they've got an obligation to report when there is a leak. They've done that. So I don't believe that the city's under any obligation to report any leak. We're not the water sewer district. We're not responsible for that. With respect to the two issues that were raised in his letter, the first being the easement where the utilities are located, I think his point there was, and I won't speak for David, but his point was that wherever the pier were to be located, you would have to take into account, we would have to work out an agreement to go over their easement. And so that would be worked out at some point if it gets to that point. The other issue is he's just telling the city that there are leaks there. They have been reported. He's aware of it. It's going to cost. We've had Ben look at it. We've had other people look at it. It could be to repair that.
Anywhere between $400,000 to $500,000.
So,
to put a lift station there.
my suggestion would be, and John and I have talked at length about this, my suggestion would be that we get to work with the Water Sewer District and locate some funds so that we can assist in any way that we can as a city in making sure that this doesn't happen. It's one of those things where Diamond Head is unique in that we have these two entities. A lot of cities, they control every other city controls their water sewer. So the city can go after grant money and do that type of work. We have to do it in conjunction with water sewer. They've got access to some grant money maybe that we don't. We probably have access to grant money that they don't have. So my suggestion would be, we start pounding the pavement, get some money that we can use in conjunction with the Water and Sewer District and fix this problem. Because one of the things that they say in their letter is that when there are streets overflowing and things of that nature, it is causing overflows in their system. So it's not just a water sewer issue, and it's not just a city issue. And rather than pointing the finger at each other and saying, hey, you're responsible, no, you're responsible, my suggestion would be that we work together, we find some funding, we fix this issue so that we can clean up Twin Lakes. That would be my solution.
All right, so hearing that, we need to get a plan because we haven't done anything and we've got residents very upset that live adjacent to it, that want a solution, and rightfully so. If you live next door, if you fish in the lakes, well, we shouldn't be allowing this to happen. That's just the bottom. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So whatever we need to do, if the city needs to work with them, then we need to get a resolution or something done so that we can move forward to get this addressed, because we can't we can't turn a blind eye to it. We've been given a letter. We know it's an issue.
Nobody's turned a blind eye to it. It's an issue of we've got to go out. We got to start working together, and we got to go after the funding. And again, I think the city may be eligible for some funding that we could use. I mean, the city's putting in infrastructure on the new phase 1 of the town center. We're putting in infrastructure for water sewer. This ditch stabilization that we're doing in large part is being done to make sure we stabilize those exposed sewer lines and water lines that are in the ditches. And it's not about blame, it's not about who's responsible, it's, you know, who caused this. This is the situation we find ourselves in, and we are unique, so we've got to come up with some solutions. But the city we're finally in a position where we've got some of this money that's come, you know, I mean, we're blessed. We've got some money now that we can finally tackle some of these issues, and this is another big one that we've got to tackle.
Well, we don't have funding for sewer, but this is the year that the state has had more money this year for water sewer than it's had in its history. So there's no reason why somebody can't be getting the money to get it fixed. And then the other thing on the easements, Jason Kenichi Engineering Firm had done a survey, which, John, we have a copy of the survey for the 2 acres, and no easements were shown on that. So have we reached out to him to see if he researched the easements? Can we do that? Because he did a survey, because the neighbors living next door were going to buy a piece of the property, which he did a legal description on, and I think they reached out to you again about trying to purchase some of that property.
Yes, and the issue would be subdivision regulations. The property would not be accessible to the road front, and I believe that's the issue we have with that.
Okay. Well, can we check that survey? Because we paid for a survey, so that should have had any recorded easements. The next issue I had was the hangar homes, and we have discussed this, but this is coming up right now because we've got a lot of residents on the south side with hangar homes. So these are homes with the hangars under them and the home above it. Many residents on the south side has this. In the event a storm comes, these homes are damaged 50% or greater. The way that it currently reads, we can't rebuild these, can we?
That is correct. That's Bo's position and his interpretation of the building code.
Can we look at a way, could rezoning those areas help with a different, no?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Go, Bo?
The only thing I can think is, since they're above the hangars,
Mhm.
they're above the base flood elevation, you wouldn't the substantial damage of 50% would necessarily apply to it. You wouldn't have to elevate it. That's what the 50% is.
Okay, because that's a deep concern. We have a lot of homes down there, and we've got new people wanting to move to Diamond Head on the south side. That's an aviation community. They expect, the lot is only so big, so they expect to be able to do the hangar and the home above it without having to buy 3 lots to fit it. So anything we can do on looking at that. The last thing I had was the golf club property where the Public Works removed the dirt piles. Has the city assessed the cost to said property to date?
We have the total price on that and have put that together, yes. Not an assessment, but we can't set no bill.
We just need to record the lien.
That's right. That's where I was getting at. Record the lien. Okay, that's all I have. Any questions to my left? Any questions to my right?
Yes, please, thank you. I just had a couple. Okay, and I agree with the mayor completely. We need to do whatever we can to support youth sports, and anything we can do to facilitate their use of that property. When you, earlier in the year, you talked about the potential of establishing a rec department. So how would that, if we were to go in that direction, what are you envisioning, and would that be able to help with some of those issues?
Mostly it would just take off the work off the Public Works Department who's having to do that work. It would be someone managing just the amenities within the city.
So didn't we vote to ask you to research? I don't think we voted to create the position, but we voted to
Correct.
ask you to kind of research it.
Right.
So if we did create the position, do we have funding for it?
Unfortunately, no. I would say no. It would take maybe splitting in some of the current employees off of Public Works and putting them into solely as a rec department position. But currently, right now, our budget that you guys have on your agenda for tonight to approve shows a budget surplus of about $7,000, which really is nothing,
Well, if
when
you
when you
did-
all, when you say it, so.
Right.
We are right where we are.
Well, as you go back and look at things, if there ends up being, I'd love to see us try to factor that in.
Certainly.
And then, the Twin Lakes property with the sewer issues, how long have we known about this? Is this new info? Did we not know before we got this letter?
I would say no. I mean, people have discussed that before, even at council meetings, that, that is an issue. But as the letter states, I mean, every manhole in the city is a relief point. So this is an issue throughout the entire city,
Ongoing.
everywhere. This one, I believe, is in probably a lower spot than others, and thus it overflows probably more often or than any other. But as David Carden says in the email, or in his letter, every manhole serves that purpose.
Okay, and then, for the property, and do that, or do we have to declare it a surplus, or how does that work?
We
Since the
would
city
definitely have to
bought the
declare it a
property?
surplus to sell it, but like I said, I believe the issue we have is subdivision regulation. Our subdivision, to subdivide property requires, I want to say it's 50 feet of road frontage. I may be off on that a little bit. So that's the issue, is that to subdivide that out, that property has to have road frontage, which it would not have.
Okay, and then, for the hangar homes, just a question, is there a safety concern with being above an airplane? I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, we don't even, it's not even recommended for us to store propane grills in our garages. I'm just,
I believe that's what the
Is it a
building
safety thing?
code,
Can
the
both-
reason for
can
the
you-
building code.
Can both speak to that?
I hope so. Better than I can, but I believe that's why the building
better-
code
just-
states
better
what
than
it
we
If
can.
it
states.
is a safety concern, I don't want people to think we're just arbitrarily against them being able to.
It's the zoning ordinance that we adopted, the IBC 2018.
It's
Well-
a building code
It's a
issue.
building code concern. It's
So-
not just Bo saying they can, it's
Well,
the
I didn't mean
IBC.
that it was just
okay.
both saying they
2018.
couldn't, but I just wanted you to explain for everyone.
Yeah, we looked it
what-
up into the building code, and it's not allowed by the building code. You can have them adjacent. You'd have to have like 2-hour firewalls and serious things in between them. And I think when they get over 2,000 square feet, you have to have foam fire suppression system, so it gets, almost treats it like a commercial occupancy. But in regards to the substantial damage, I believe all of them down there now would be elevated above the base flood elevation anyway, because on, what's that, Coelho?
Mhm.
Usually the base flood elevation is only about 6 or 7 feet above the ground, so I think they would be okay on that if they get damaged and have to rebuild.
And how many houses are there currently, do you know?
On the south side,
That have
there-
hangars underneath and homes above?
a handful of them, 5 or so maybe, if I had to guess,
I'm just curious.
yeah.
Okay.
There's new people wanting to move in, Councilwoman Lacey, that want to buy a lot and do the
Oh,
hangar.
no, I understand. I just don't want them to get hurt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They've
Okay.
they've been building those homes since the beginning of time, and they do it all over the country. But, okay, so moving right along.
No, not finished.
Oh, you
I'm
have one more
I'm
thing?
so sorry. Yes, I do. Yesterday, I was on Golf Club Drive at the three-way stop by the condos, and a child was driving a golf cart about to turn left onto Golf Club Drive with 2 other children in the cart. Is there anything we can do to help police? It just, it's.
Yeah, it is currently a violation of the law to
I
do
mean,
that. So the police, when they see it, and I think you all may have seen Bay St. Louis. I heard on the radio, it's a big issue in the Bay.
Yeah.
And they're starting to crack down on it, and, as we see it, our officers are looking for those kind of things. I mean, golf carts are supposed to follow the same rules as motorists in cars. So, drinking and driving is against the law if you're in a golf cart. Being intoxicated, I should
Right.
say, while you're operating a golf cart, and operating one without a license is
And
also,
then,
so.
so when people apply for their city stickers, they have to provide proof of insurance, is that right?
I
Okay,
believe
so
so.
for the ones that don't have stickers, they're just, we don't know,
We
right?
don't-
If they're
yeah,
even
well-
insured?
They haven't gotten a sticker, so I don't know.
Okay, just curious.
So-
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other questions to my right? Councilman Cumberland, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. So I will say, I see Captain Luther back there. We did a training, a golf cart safety training, and whoever went to that was very educational. And the police, they put it out there. Here's what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. You weren't at the class, you're gonna get a ticket, you should have been here. So that's pretty much how it is, so follow the rules. Moving along to public comments, I'm gonna start with, because I see a lot of the dog park steering committee here. We're gonna move on, because I know y'all probably need to be going, so we're going to start with Jimmy Glass.
Hey, so I was gonna come talk about the tree ordinance, but apparently that's gonna be pulled off the agenda, so.
No, sir, it's not.
It's not, we're gonna.
No, it's not. And we're gonna move right on the tree ordinance out.
Do you
I
want me to
have you
talk
down
about-
for trees, youth, and dog parks. So apparently
Yeah.
you have a lot to say tonight.
I have a lot to say about trees, for sure.
Yeah,
So-
we're talking about, did you want to say anything about the dog park currently?
Yeah, so my family supports the dog park. I think that's a great initiative, and I think you guys are doing a great job with searching different properties. I liked Twin Peaks. I like some of the other options that we've got out there. So your financing of it, I'm cool with that. So all in all, I think that's great. The other thing I wanted to say, I was sitting there listening to the talk about the library. My kids just discovered the library. I'm a bad parent. I'm not a great parent. But they, like, literally, like 2 weeks ago, my wife took them over to the library, and that's like a new fun spot for them. So every Thursday, my 6-year-old daughter likes to go paint over there, and my 2 boys are into computers, so they have a 3D printer. So funding that is a great idea.
You may never get them out of there. That sounds exactly like what they love.
Well, they get out of there because they have football practice
Oh,
right
okay.
afterwards.
Did
So
you want to
they-
say something? You work very heavily with the youth league. So did you want to say anything about the current conditions y'all are undergoing out there?
Yeah, so I think with this transition that we've had with the city, and I like it. I appreciate the city getting involved in youth sports. The POA has been a great partner for the 6 years that I've worked with them. I don't work at like the paperwork level where I can tell you what the lease says or what insurance says, that sort of thing. I coach the kids, but I know the POA handle things like striping the field. They provide the concession stand, they provide the toilets and the lights, and I've been to several meetings about like how expensive the bulbs are at that field. So they've been a great partner. We just have a few hiccups with the transition here, so we don't know who's supposed to take care of the bathrooms, and that's a big problem. I have a 6-year-old daughter. We have 43 girls out there. Like the boys, we send to the woods if they have a problem.
Oh, no.
But the girls, that's a bigger problem. I took my daughter like 3 weeks ago, and I messaged you about that.
Mhm.
She wouldn't go in there, so I had to rush her to Circle K, and that's a problem. So I expect with change we have a few hiccups, but I really appreciate like you guys paying attention to that and being receptive and helping us out. And we do have a game. We have 3 games on Saturday, 9 a.m., 10:30 a.m., and 12 p.m. open to the public. And we would love like extra support for that. And we've got great concessions, Spartan nachos. They're pretty famous. So I don't support the tree ordinance. I've opined on that a lot. I like the idea for a garage sale. Does that mean I'm over?
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes,
Thank you.
you're over. You had a lot to say. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Miss Penny Crawford.
Okay. Here again, thank you all very much for your support on our contest that we've won. Anyway, okay, so I'm here talking about tree ordinance and dog park.
Just dog park right now,
Just
Miss
dog
Penny.
park right now.
Yes, because you got 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes. All right, so the dog park has been kind of a bone of contention, pun intended. And I know that earlier this year in the springtime, when I heard that there were some issues over by the Twin Lakes. We drove by there, and the smell of sewage just about knocked us out of the car. So it was obvious something was going on there that was not appropriate for a dog park where I want to walk around. So, or my dog's feet coming into my house if I had a dog. So that seemed like we might look at other options. So we've kind of been looking at other options. What are there? And of course, one of my favorite options is the Maui Circle. And the drawbacks are that there's neighbors and they're not real thrilled about putting a fence up around their beautiful park. And the fact that it's isolated and hard to find and it's not on a main drag. And then we looked at the Noma Park, the Noma area where the football fields are in the area back there. And it sounded okay. You know, there's no neighbors, it's quiet, it's not going to bother anybody. Would I go there at twilight by myself if I had a dog? No. So that scratched that one off, you know, because that comes down to that. If that's that time of day, I get home from work, I want to take my dog for a little run out there. It would scare me as a single, if I was single going there, so I wouldn't do that. So then I'm looking at other places, and one of the places that I was thinking about was what we call the duck pond, lovingly called the duck pond, the big lake at the entrance to Diamond Head. And I'm looking at the north end of it, where Diamond Head Drive East goes by, and there's two corners there, and I'm thinking, would that be a good place for a dog park? It's beautiful land, big shady trees, view of the water, access to the road, safe, well lit, all of those assets that I see from my perspective. And there are neighbors on the eastern side, so you'd have to have a setback. Then you have to worry about getting to the water, would the dogs get in the water? Then I worried about the geese. Oh my gosh, would the dogs go after the geese? Oh yes, I guess they would. Anyway, so that is an option. Well then, I'm looking today on our agenda, and there's another option. Oh, geez, people. Anyway, the other option is this land that's adjacent to the library, I understand. Somewhere back in there, there's some vacant property there that's county property. And so I rode by there to go see what that's like. It doesn't have any access that I know of to a road, but there must be some somewhere. And it's adjacent to a public facility, the library, which could be good, you know. Okay, that's me. Is that me?
That is you, Miss Penny.
Anyway, so I have questions about all of these places, but the library needs, the dog park needs to settle on something.
Yes.
You need to fix something.
Yes.
This has been way too long.
Yes,
I go
ma'am.
back to the lady who died trying to figure this out.
Mhm.
So, something needs to happen to figure it out.
I think your suggestion on the duck pond was fabulous. Thank you, Miss Penny.
Okay, so
That was
now do I
yours.
get to talk about trees?
In 1 minute, we're going to get the dog park. We're moving quick now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So next we have Beverly. Hello.
I'll be real brief.
Okay.
I definitely think that having a dog park, even though I have a yard and I have little teeny dogs, so I'm not taking them to a dog park, but I think it's a real asset for any community to have one, so I'm definitely pro. That's the thing is, I know you tabled the 40,000 for the dog park from the general fund, because until we actually land on a location that everybody can agree on, it's just kind of still pending, but I think it should be supported. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents with that, but I also wanted to find out, didn't we build some kind of equipment for the dog park? We still have that, and so we just have to make sure wherever it's located, it can fit there and, everybody can access it, right?
Right, that was a project done by the Eagle Scout. So those benches, he built 10 benches. They're out at Bayou Drive at the kayak launch, sitting out there
okay.
waiting for the dog park, and then they can be relocated.
Okay, so,
No, she's referring to the benches that were built for it.
yeah, I thought there was some kind of also equipment, play equipment or something like that. Like
Oh, we do have
tunnels
a,
and bridges or whatever.
we do have
some
a
kind of
resident
castle or whatever.
volunteering and working on building
Okay,
a,
that's exciting. I just
I
didn't know
know.
if everybody was aware of it, so I just
don't
thought
know
I'd
if
bring
they
it up.
are. Okay.
Because it's going to be really cool.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Chuck is working on building Barbara's husband. Thank you. Okay, now moving on to Barbara.
Well, the steering committee received contact from the city manager giving us about 6 locations for the dog park beyond Twin Lakes. And so one Saturday in August, we visited all the locations and we did a chart on the pros and cons of all the locations. And like Penny said, we were overwhelmed by the Duck Pond location. That received our highest score. The property is already cleared and owned by the city, and this will reduce the cost associated with building the park. And the property is currently zoned for a dog park. The property is centrally located. Nearby parking is available. For myself, I would probably park at the community center and then walk to the dog park, but there is going to be parking along near the dog park. And the grant we received from DMR can still be used for the walking trail and for a new pier at the Duck Pond. Like one of the other locations, Manu Street, is residential. Houses all around it and dog park, and I don't think they would like to have that much activity there. So we were very happy that the Duck Pond was available, and that was our #1 choice. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for the Dog Park Steering Committee on their recommendation to the City Council for the Duck Pond? Nobody has any questions? Okay, Councilman Clark, thank you.
I actually went up there Saturday evening. Me and my wife drove by there. And is that area really big enough for the dog parks? I mean, I was looking at if you have parking coming in there and 4 or 5 parking spaces plus some golf cart spaces.
It actually it winds around the back, so it's
Correct.
more of a natural location into the landscape.
And that's at a hill, right? The angle as well?
Yeah. And there's the duck pond, there's the drainage right there, we're on the other side of the drainage. It's actually bigger, I think, than the Twin Lakes location.
Okay, it just looked like it'd be smaller to me when I was there.
Way more trees.
I had a question. Have y'all talked to any of the neighbors to see how they feel?
No.
Okay, and then, you're not worried about traffic?
I don't think so, because I think people slow down around the traffic circle, and they're gonna park there and then go in there.
I'm not worried about dogs chasing ducks.
Oh, it's all gonna be fenced, and the
Right.
fencing is you go in one set of fences and then a second level of fences. Between the big dogs and the little dogs.
Okay, and then I have a question.
If you're a careless dog owner, you probably would have a problem.
True. Question for legal and the city manager. Is the DMR funding transferable to that location?
I'd have to, I don't know that independently, so we could certainly look.
On my experience, 30 years or longer working with Tidelands, if the representatives say that it is okay, because it is their request for funding, it can be transferred to any location that you want it to. And we have done that in the past.
Again, that's not my opinion. I'd just like some confirmation on that if I were y'all, but that's all I would look for.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all, and we will discuss that in a minute. Any other comments?
Well, one of the neighbors retired SPCA, so I don't think she's gonna have anything against it.
Okay. And I think the fact the property's cleared and it was the best of the 6 options. Ms. Penny, thank you for that idea. That was brilliant. Okay, moving right along. Now we're moving on to.
Mayor,
Yes?
I had a question. Has anyone considered sewer for that area? Were we gonna put restrooms for the dog park?
No, we weren't even looking at parking for this specific site because there's enough parking in the area where people can park and walk over. No water sewer in that area.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was considered.
Yes, no restrooms.
But you
Okay,
have water
that's all
for
I
the
had.
water
All right,
feature?
thank you.
Are you gonna have water for the water feature? Because I know y'all are working hard on that. So is there gonna be water?
If we can, if not, then, having the fenced areas, we may need to start before we run. Mhm.
Okay.
And parking does not need to be added. There is plenty of parking in this area where you can just walk over and go to the dog park. Just kind of like Mahawahuli Gardens, there's no parking, but yet everybody visits and makes it work, right? So it's a very good site. All right, so now we're going to move on to the tree ordinance, because we've got a lot of people here with the tree ordinance. Public comments. Jimmy left, so moving on to Miss Penny.
Thank you. I thought that the work that Derek and city people and everybody put into the tree ordinance was fantastic. I think they tried really, really hard to listen to most of us and listen to what we were our concerns were, and try to do the best they could for us. I think there might be some little things that we could tweak later on, but folks, if you drive around Diamond Head, we need to do this now. We need to do a tree ordinance that has teeth in it, and we need to do it now. We need to quit waiting and watching the trees go down and watch the property be ripped apart. We need to have a tree ordinance, but it needs to have teeth. Maybe at some point we can up some of the fines and put bigger teeth on this. But I think the biggest thing we have to have right now that we don't have, and it's not going to be in our city budget, is personnel to enforce it. And it's not going to do much good if we don't have people to enforce it. The other day I got a call, and it said a resident here was concerned about a live oak tree. Oh, live oak tree. Okay, so we get excited about that. The paving had paved right up to the tree. So I went out and checked the tree out, and where was a person to enforce that, to look at the contractor who put the asphalt down, to mark a space around that tree big enough to protect that live oak. So there wasn't anybody to do that. So now, in my opinion, and I don't know what'll happen because the engineer has to figure that out, the asphalt has to be removed from around the tree to have that tree survive. So some trees survive in the street and they've been there 50 years and that's fine, but if you keep closing in the space, one day they won't survive anymore, and they're live oaks. So anyway, I think that they did a great job working on this. I think we need to pass this, we need to get it in effect, and then we need to find some people to enforce it. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Penny. Eric Nolan? Go, Eric, and congratulations, Eric.
For what?
Eric is now going to be our new
No,
appointee.
you
We
haven't
have
done
to.
it
We're
yet.
going to vote on it.
No, you haven't done it yet. So we're
He
just
is going to be a
right
commissioner
there.
on the Water Sewer District Board.
Wait until
Yes,
he makes
is.
these comments first.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we may be
guys
thinking
hold
about
your
this.
votes.
We haven't
Hold your
voted
votes.
yet, that's right. I have a kind of a unique perspective because I worked for the city of Biloxi for 28 years enforcing the city of Biloxi's tree ordinance. The things that I give Derek credit on the ordinance, even though you pulled it from the wrong city. Wrong school too, but I'm going to leave that there. Tree ordinances need to be simple. They need to be written at not casting aspersions to anybody here. They need to be written where when you graduate high school, you can read this ordinance. I have a real problem with heritage, significant. You're going to be translating this to every person that comes in to do this ordinance. I see the listing of the trees that you're protecting. Obviously, the listing was from Oxford. You don't want to protect black gum, sweet gum. You want to omit certain trees such as water oaks, sweet gums especially here, and pecan. We all love pecans because we like pecans. But pecan orchards, once they're not managed and then you build a bunch of houses under it, it becomes a nightmare. So my biggest thing about the ordinance is it has to be simple, it has to be readable, and they don't need to have to figure out who they need to hire to assess a tree when they come in to get a permit. They need to be able to walk in and say, I just bought this lot, I got a magnolia and a live oak on the lot, they're on the edge of the property, I need to take one of them down, and they need to be able to do that. Where the way this ordinance is written, you have to hire somebody to assess the tree, which I'll tell you right now, to get an arborist out there, if I mean, I'm not even ISA certified anymore, but it's going to cost you $200 to $300 on top of the permit fee, and then they're going to have to assess the tree, and then that's going to slow you down by a couple weeks. So you're adding steps to a system. I think you could go back and write the ordinance where the property owner can make decisions for his property, and whether you have a state licensed tree surgeon or an ISA certified arborist or a horticulturist, which horticulturists don't know anything about structure when it comes to trees, so I probably wouldn't recommend them, but I like horticulturists. They grow neat things that I can't even pronounce. So the biggest thing is make it simple that people can understand. This one, with the mitigation, the way it's set up, off-site, on-site, and the 3 different steps of tree types, my biggest recommendation would be to omit specimen trees altogether. Because when you start enforcing things that are 4 inches or larger, if you want your ordinance to be effective, you need to shoot with a rifle, not with a shotgun. You want to protect the big, healthy, majestic trees in the property. You don't worry about the small ones, because you can go to any nursery and get a 4-inch tree for $500, drop it in your yard, and you've got ready-made landscaping. But if it's in the way of your house and you got to go through another hurdle and hire an arborist to assess this tree versus that tree, it just gets more complicated. And I think that's all I got.
Excellent. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Miss Mary Coyne Jackson. Oh, Howard. Mary, sit down 1 second, honey. I'm sorry. Howard, you're next. I skipped you. I did. Sorry, Mary.
Howard Thickman. I didn't realize you were going to do the dog park, but I do have one comment on it.
Yes.
We should think about George Galen when we build the park.
Thank you, sir.
And maybe name it after him. The tree ordinance, the only thing I saw, I don't know all this stuff about trees. I'm an engineer. I don't know nothing about trees. The one thing I do know is if you give the construction people or the contractors the opportunity to usurp your power to decide which trees stay and go, you won't ever get it back. They'll take it and they'll do what they want, and you'll never be able to get it back from them. That's my only comment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, Mary. Oh, okay. You want to talk about that? Okay. Yes. You can come up and talk about that. So Mary is here to talk about the public hearing. Does she need to wait, counsel?
I would,
Okay, Mary.
let's wait. That way we'll have a clean record if
who
we have to go
commented.
anywhere, that we
Okay.
did have some comments during
So
that
Mary-
section.
That is about trees, Mary. She did write south side. So we're talking about the tree piles on the south side Mary has concerns about. Was that all the public comments on the tree ordinance? Okay. Come on up, Beverly. This got confusing because everybody had 3 things to talk on tonight, so.
Right, that's why the subject, that makes sense, to stick to the subject. Okay, on the tree ordinance, like the last gentleman just said, I really feel like we're giving the developers too much problem because they'll just bulldoze everything. And one of the reasons I moved to Diamond Head and didn't return to New Orleans after Katrina was because of this community, and I'd visited before. My friend's family had a house here, and I loved it. And it's because of all of the greenery. And we are a very unique community, and I don't want to lose that. I really think that that's a big part of it. I think that we need somebody that will be trained, that can work with the developers and the homeowners together and decide what trees should be not sacrificed, that should remain. I agree, like, I think pine trees are trash, but because of the needles and everything else. I had one snap during that, right in back of me, and took out my fence in 2 places. I'm not a fan, but other people may love them. So that's not my decision, but I just think we have to have a nice balance, make sure we keep the greenery, our canopy. A lot of people, we can't walk or ride bikes or do anything if there's no shade. You know, it's just really integral to a healthy living environment. And so I just hope that we don't give them all that power, because it will be too late. The trees will be demolished, and then there's nothing you can do about it after the fact. So the part about having fines with some teeth in it, and have it daily, if they're doing something like paving up to the roots and things like that, I think that's really, they ought to be fined, you know, and have to remove the concrete to try and save the tree. I just think we should have some meat to it so that they don't walk all over the community and then we're crying about it afterwards.
Like stronger penalties,
Yeah,
so that
yeah,
they
yeah.
wake up.
And have
Okay.
somebody that really is the go-to person that can be the liaison between the homeowner and the developer and the city, you know, so everybody kind of works it out before any trees are removed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did I catch everyone that wished to speak about the tree ordinance? Okay. So now we're going to start with the agenda items. Could I get a motion to approve the August 15, 2023 regular meeting minutes? Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Finley. City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lacy,
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes. Resolution 2023-305, motion to adopt Resolution 2023-032, thereby authorizing an amended application to the Mississippi Development Authority for the FY23 Gulf Coast Restoration Fund grant in the amount of $2,400,000, 83% of the $2 million GCRF share, and 17% or $400,000 of local match funding for the Commercial District Transformation Project Phase 3 and other related purposes. Motion?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Finley. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my right? Councilman Cumberland? Any discussion? No?
No.
Okay. City Clerk?
Finley,
Yes.
Lacy,
Yes.
Cumberland, Cumberland,
John, can you hear?
Cumberland,
Yes. Yes.
okay, Clark,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes. Resolution 2023-309, motion to adopt Resolution 2023-034, thereby appointing Eric Nolan, Ward 1, to serve as Commissioner of the Diamond Head Water Sewer District Board of Commissioners to fill an expired term effective September 29, 2023, and expiring September 28, 2028. Motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilwoman Lacy. Second?
Second.
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. Any discussion? City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lacy.
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Congratulations, Mr. Nolan. Resolution 2023-311, motion to adopt Resolution 2023-034, thereby adopting the FY24 budget for the period beginning October 1st, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024. Motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Marr, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilwoman Lacy. Any discussion to my left?
I do.
Councilman Clark.
Sometime in the near future, I believe we're gonna have to do something about the mills. I know we're at 29.5 now. That's a lot of, you know, I know the county's gone up a half a mil, but I know we've come down several mills in a few years ago, but I think we're gonna have to we're gonna have to eventually just go up just to have some money for the city to be able to do things, paving and stuff like that. I don't think a $500,000 we're gonna do it. I don't know how much going up 1 mil would hurt anybody out there in the long run.
Right.
But I think we just came down too low for too long, and that's gonna be my recommendation, in the future anyway.
Certainly.
See some more money coming into the city for that.
Unfortunately, I'd have to agree with you on that. I hate even the thought of raising mills, but I will agree with you that that's going to have to happen if other things don't increase. Luckily, next year will be a reassessment year, so maybe our ad valorem collection total will be higher. But as we all know, the price of everything else is going up as fast or faster than any of us can even imagine. So even if that ad valorem increase does occur just by the value of the properties, is that going to keep up with what the inflation is? And that's probably not going to happen.
We need to draw some more businesses in here.
we do. We need more sales tax. We need more of everything to help increase our overall revenues.
Well, we have two perfect cases tonight. Ms. Penny, of course, pointing out we can have the best tree ordinance on planet Earth. If we don't have anybody out to enforce it, it's kind of a moot point. And our shortcomings, I think, with the library, those are immediate things.
Exactly.
Well, and it's hard, it's difficult to compare us to Bay St. Louis and Waveland because we don't have a comparable tax base. Right?
Certainly, the retail businesses there, the commercial districts are what really helps drive those cities and help fund them. And that's this whole commercial district transformation project that we're putting this money into. Hopefully, we'll start generating some of that and be able to create some more commercial district area.
Okay, any more comments to my right? Councilman Cumberland?
No, thank you.
I had one question. So when we're looking at the budget and we look at the expenses, the $2 million, and I sent an email about this earlier today, the $2 million from Hancock County Board of Supervisors, the match for the Go Mesa funds. That $2 million is actually an expense right now. So we're taking and spending $2 million until we get.
We recorded $2 million as revenue and $2 million as expense, so it nets as a zero. Because according to where we are in the planning, we're gonna receive it from the county, but we're also gonna spend it and then get reimbursed, so it nets out as a zero.
Okay, so it nets.
So the net impact on the budget on that is zero.
Right.
Okay. $2 million in, $2 million
And
out.
we're not going to spend $2 million altogether and then ask for reimbursement. It will be a quarterly reimbursement process.
And I think
So we can reimburse quarterly. Is there any reason why they can't fund the $2 million to start with? It has to be reimbursed? Is that a legal question?
That was their.
That was just the way they came up to do it. And when we met with the Board of Supervisors, we talked, we're going to give them monthly updates, and then they requested us, we were even going to just do monthly invoicing of them, but they requested to do it quarterly. So that's just kind of a plan that they came up with.
Okay. And we have $2 million, just so you know how solvent the city is. We have $2 million in a reserve for emergency funds. And then we have $1,216,756 for a 3-month operating expense that stays in the general fund. So that's $3,216,756 that we have for emergency funds. So, and I do see cash over $344,998, but the budget you're saying is ending out at 7.
That's the cash.
The FY24 budget is, yes, the revenue versus the expenses of the general fund ends with about $7,000 more in revenue anticipated than expenses anticipated, which pretty much is a net of zero, I mean, really.
And usually sales tax is an increase, something that we do, and ad valorem. I mean, it does usually pan out. Last year we were 600 over, so we just have to see. So library, do not give up on us. We see you and we know your needs. Okay, with that being said, City Clerk?
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. 2023-311, motion to adopt resolution Ooh, just did that one. 2023-312. Motion to adopt Resolution 2023-035, thereby setting the tax levy FY 2024 to be 29.5 mils and for other related purposes. Motion? Motion made by Councilman Finley, second. Second made by Councilman Clark. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my
One
right?
statement too early.
You did, you jumped the gun on that.
And
So
that
this
is-
is keeping the mills at 29.5, no tax increase for the city of Diamond Head for the fiscal year 2024. City Clerk?
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. 2023-313, motion to adopt Resolution 2023-036, thereby requesting the Hancock County Board of Supervisors donation or long-term lease real property located north and south of Ahoney Street for the construction of a dog park and other related purposes. Motion,
So moved.
Councilwoman Lisi, second.
Second.
Second, Councilman Marr. Discussion to my left. I'm going to start out with discussion here. So, you know, we just had a lot of list of things about leasing the property on Noma. A lot of things that we should have addressed prior to being where we are today. Now, we've got 200 kids coming and everybody looking at each other and no restrooms, no concession stand. This property here, I could not find a tax parcel number. So there is no tax parcel number that exists for what we're asking, which means we can't look up where it is. We can't look at the contours. We can't look at the size of it. Will it even fit a dog park? Where is it? So I did call the tax office and ask for the tax parcel number. And I was informed that this property is currently being researched. It's being subdivided. And I think they discussed this with you, John.
Absolutely not.
This county administrator didn't? Okay, so this is one big parcel right now. If you look at the tax map, it has to be divided up, and they've got to go back. The county attorney is going back and looking through the documents of when Oshner got some of it, and when so they don't know. Yes, so they don't know today how much is left. They can't tell us today, nor the tax. We're jumping the gun on this. We're moving too quick. We don't have enough. If the county doesn't know and the county attorney's researching it, we should not be making a resolution to even look at it.
Well, they're the ones who asked.
And I think they asked because they don't want to do it until we have a resolution, but they totally understand that they can't even tell us if it's big enough. So can we hold off on this till we get a tax parcel number? We know the size of it. We know if there's any wetlands. You know, they don't even know where this property is.
Jimmy Leitner asked me to get a resolution to get to the Board of Supervisors. So that's what this does.
Okay, and I see what, I think he meant when he gets it settled, and then they will look at.
He just asked me for a resolution, something that he looked for his council.
Okay, well, I will never vote on something I have no information about. I will not, and I think we learned a lesson on Noma. But I thank you, and I see what you did, but I think we need to wait. Any comments to the right?
Yes, I respectfully disagree. I think you can talk to them, and I don't know that, I think there's some land north of south of the library and north of the library, isn't there?
According to the tax parcel, yes. It's one large piece. There is the Oshner Medical Center on the south side and the library kind of to the northwest side of it. So the rest of the property is there with the road in between it.
So I think by us authorizing you to discuss this and the possibility with Jimmy Ladner and the Board of Supervisors, that will all get hammered out. They may decide to donate it. We may not run into leasing issues, but if
Correct.
they're willing to donate part of it to us, I think it's a great idea. And
I think it's another option for us, and we were talking about options earlier.
Right.
So, I mean, if it's an option I'm all for
Because-
getting the best option.
Yeah.
How do you know it's big enough when the county does not even know?
That's why I said we can do some research.
Well, why
on
don't
it.
we wait until the county attorney he's got to go back and research when they did the sale with Oshner to see what's even left.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
But I'm hearing that he's not gonna research it unless he has a reason to
Oh,
research
no,
with
they're
this
researching
resolution.
it. They have realized they need to research it. So this opened up a whole nother situation. They have to research it because the tax map is not right. All right, that's just my thought. I'm not gonna vote on something I don't even know the tax parcel number on, but that's me. Any other discussion?
So we've already looked at 2021 won't hurt.
Okay, so city clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Mayor.
No, I have learned my lesson on that. No, no, and no. Okay, moving right along. Motion to adopt Resolution 2023-037 to approve a text amendment to the tree ordinance, Article 11, tree ordinance. The proposed text amendment is to replace the ordinance in its entirety with Article 11, tree preservation and protection. The case file number is 2023-00337. Motion?
Move.
Second? Okay, unfortunately, the tree ordinance motion is...
Second. Second. I'm sorry.
You want to second it?
Yeah.
Okay, second by Councilman Moore. Any discussion to my left?
Yes. I think the tree ordinance is a great starting point, the way you guys did it with planning and zoning. I do, however, have some issues that were pointed out today by the people speaking on it. And one of them is, we're doing this ordinance and we still don't have means of enforcement. And to me, that's the number one thing we're gonna need in an ordinance is enforcement. And the other thing is that we're putting so much burden, it seems to me, on our city staff, especially Bo, that it seems to me we need some sort of mechanism to help with the enforcement of this. And one of the things I was thinking of is that government works best that governs least. And so we don't want to make more layers of going through things in order to get something done. But at the same time, we don't want to lose our canopy and things like that that's happening. So I kind of like the split in the ordinance of having developers really getting, you know, they have to follow this strictly, whereas the individual lot owners that own something kind of get a pass. I like that, because I think if you've already had a platted lot and you've already done it, then you shouldn't have to go through all these hoops. Whereas if you're asking for a cutting out of new land and taking out trees, then we got to be very careful with that, and we got to make it. But I don't think Bo is going to be able to handle all of that happening, and we need to have some sort of way that he can become aware quicker. Now, I know, I was told that the city gets inundated with calls as soon as somebody starts a chainsaw up. That, hey, somebody's gonna be cutting down a tree, get over here quick. I wanna suggest that we have plenty of interested people in the city of Diamond Head. We have some experts in the city of Diamond Head that would probably be willing to join a group, not a board, not anything with any kind of authority except to be the eyes and ears for Bo in terms of looking out and saying, hey, Bo, this week there's 6 projects going on. What do you want us to just drive by and take a look? Not to go in and tell people to stop, not to go in and tell people, hey, you're doing this wrong, but to alert Bo, hey, Bo, this project needs your eye on it, or you need to consult with an arborist on this project because there's a question going on here that looks very iffy, or there's asphalt being put down too close to this live oak, or there's something going on. So what I think is, I like this ordinance, but I think it needs to be tweaked, and I don't want to be tweaking it here at the council meeting without having, you know, Pat, who helped write it here and all like that, to be here. But I do think it's 80% there. But it needs to have that extra little tweaking to go on before we say, yeah, this, and I understand the law's fluid, it's always changing. But right now, I say this could wait for the next council meeting, which is in 2 weeks on the 19th, and just see what Pat can put in to kind of help get the enforcement part of it stricter. And also, I know people are gonna not like this, but I already talked to our attorney, and he's looking into ways that we can raise the fine for developers from 2,000, I think it is, up to 10,000, because I think monetarily you need to say, this is too much, and that'll get the word out quicker than enforcement officers will when they hear, oh, that's a bite out of the pocket. Not for the individual landowners, but for developers who are coming in to take over new land. But that's all I want to say.
I just want to, real quick, it was Gerard that said 10,000, not me.
That's
I said
I think we all realize that.
I
That's a
said
little bit
I'd look. I
unrealistic.
said I'd look.
All right, Councilman Clark?
Yeah, I would like for Pat to have been here tonight, and I know he had things scheduled, and that's fine. But I don't want to vote on it as it is now either. I think it still has a few things that need to be tweaked on it. And until I can talk to Pat about it, I'm sure it may have to go back to P&Z. But anyway, I'm not for the way it is either.
To the right?
Yeah, and I want to echo their comments. I think, the intention was to keep developers from clear cutting, as we've seen before. And also, as we all know all too well, drainage is affected every time we remove trees, and we've got to be very cognizant of that. And again, Pat's not here for us to talk to. So I would be very uncomfortable voting for this. I think we need some serious penalties for people who are developers, who break the rules. And I'm very concerned about, the tree canopy and, same things everybody else is. I just want us to get it right and not put undue burdens on individuals who are just, building single-family homes either. And I agree with Mr. Nolan that it needs to be straightforward and not confusing and something everyone can understand.
Same. Gerard had many good points. Mr. Nolan, I think it needs to be simple where Bo's not, he's not on the phone constantly trying to define what is this, what is that. The verbiage should be oversimplified, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm a definite no vote on it. I'll just tell you exactly how I am. I had visions starting out. First of all, I had a list of things. We all heard me sit here talking about the drip line and the silt fence, and I asked to use the city of Biloxi as a model, remember?
And we have all that tree preservation in there. That was specifically added.
A lot of it is the city of Oxford. A lot of it is further north. I think utilizing more of the coast, the native trees, I think the penalties need to be a lot stronger. We don't have the manpower, and it is very complicated to read. It is. I will concur with that. It's not what, and I know it was a lot of work. I totally understand it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work doing it. It's not where we need to be, so I'm a no vote. It needs work to be done on it. I think we need to send in all the comments, the residents' input. Let's send it back to the Planning Commission, work on it, update it, get it where we want it, and then bring it back to the council. It's not this. I feel it needs enough work that it needs to go back to the planning and zoning, not just the council saying, hey, we're gonna do it here. That's my thought.
Mayor, I moved on that motion because I want to have that discussion, and I think sounds like everybody feels the same way. We all want it, but it needs something. It needs adjusting. It needs to be tweaked. So yeah, I agree 100%. I don't know if voting no on it is a thing to do, or if it's possible for us to table it, or what we need to do, but I agree with everybody.
How do we get it back to P&Z? Because there's too much changing. Just vote no, then make another motion to authorize P&Z to.
Yeah, just to make a motion to send it back to P&Z is what
Okay.
I think that's as clear as
We
you need
have
to
a
be.
motion on the table
we do, so.
So
you would
let's
need to
call for a
amend-
vote, and then I'll add a motion.
Either do that or just amend amend the
Okay.
current motion.
He can amend his.
can I
He
ask
has a
a
motion, he
question?
can amend.
Who made the motion?
John Cumberland.
Okay, John, move to amend your motion to send it back to planning and zoning, if you don't mind, to impose the recommendations for the revisions.
Okay. What are you asking me? I didn't realize that I made a motion to
Yes,
send it to the.
yeah, it was your motion.
We should probably table it, or I didn't know what we needed to do.
No, what we can do is send it back to planning and zoning.
Okay,
All
so I
right.
make a motion to. send
He
it back to
amends
planning
his
and zoning.
motion to send it back to planning and zoning.
Amend motion to send back to P and Z.
And I second it.
He had seconded it, okay. Yeah.
Okay, city clerk.
Wait.
Miss Lucy has something.
Oh,
I had a question, I'm sorry. So Derek and John, I have not had the opportunity to watch all the planning and zoning meetings where this was addressed. Did these issues come up and did they just decide they weren't important? Like, how did we get here?
Every one of these, and I just want to, I'm not
wondering if we're going to get a different result.
defending the ordinance.
this
I'll be
time.
honest with you. I'm not as happy with it as I thought I would be as we started the process. The last time we did this, God, was it 15, 16, Mayor?
it was 15. No, 16, you're
Wasn't
right.
terribly happy with that one either. We did use Biloxi and Gulfport and the Bay as our forms for that one. I like our current tree ordinance. I think we could tweak it, but we're not enforcing it. And what we're doing with this is we're saying, hey, building officials that don't have the manpower to enforce what we have, here's a whole list of more things, and enforce that. So Pat and I we've opened every meeting at P&Z by starting with that. A, we're not going to draft the perfect ordinance, and B, it's enforcement. And if we don't get the enforcement right, it doesn't. You could have the perfect ordinance, it's not going to help. But Pat has gotten emails from residents. You all see me scribbling notes here. I've got every comment that we get on the tree ordinance I write down. We take every comment. We've look at what the discussion that we've had at P&Z. All these things have been discussed. We're not going to get everything in there. One of the things that I think we've done, and Eric can kind of speak to this, is we took the Oxford as our starting form. We did dumb it down for Vaughn Biggs, who was here. She's not, bless her. She asked me to explain the old credits for retention paragraph. I couldn't do it, and we both looked at each other and said, "Why don't we just get that out?" So we have tried to simplify it, and it's still in parts confusing. Eric was a great point today about we adopted that calling heritage trees and specimen trees. I agree, it is a bit confusing. Another element that's been so tough is we initially put the burden on the developers. You guys have to hire the arborist. They have to be ISA certified arborists. Well, then we come to find out from some very smart folks, there's not a lot of those around. They are very expensive. Then we kicked around the idea, Anna, about, well, let's have our own list of people that you can choose from. That's just problematic. We don't choose folks, engineers or contractors. There's just problems there. Then we said, well, let's also open it up where you can get a licensed tree surgeon or a licensed horticulturalist. And Eric makes great points on that. They may not be the best qualified. So we're really, it is a struggle to come up with something that addresses everybody's concerns. And I do hear the penalty phase. Yeah, we want to make the penalties as strict as we can. That's why we added the one section in here, the maximum allowable by law. That's, as a municipality, we're certain limits as to what we can fine people, how long we can put folks in jail, things like that. So, we're trying on that end too. So I hear all your comments. We will go back to work. We don't mind. Look, this is the first one we did 8-9 years ago. It took a long time to come up with, but I think we need to use some of those things we've learned on the enforcement side and kind of figure that out too. So as we rewrite, and we'll go, and I've heard it's too strict, it needs to be simpler. I've heard it needs to be, include more things. I've heard from the gamut. I've heard, we have a resident, Jimmy was here earlier, Glass, he thinks it's too restrictive. I think we did strike a balance. The one thing I think we're getting right is not putting a big burden on those individual lots and putting more of it on the acreage that's developed. But you're going to see the biggest complaints we get are when your neighbor's lot's getting developed and a tree's coming down. Folks lose their minds. They just do, and they want to see that stop completely. You're not going to, as Bob Barber says, a house cannot occupy the same spot as a tree. So trees are going to come down, but how do we do it in a way that we don't end up with clear-cut lots and clear-cut acreage and things of
Well,
that
I guess
nature?
my concern is that P&Z's probably heard the same comments that we
They
all made,
have.
and they still came up with what they came up with. So is it the most expedient thing to do to send it back to them? Or, you know what I mean? Is there a better way to do it? Can the council make these suggestions, and are we able to tweak it ourselves without, 'cause
You-
we're gonna lose a month.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys can do, you can vote
And
it
I don't mean
down,
this
you
min-
can
I don't
send
mean
it back,
this
you
minute.
can
I
make
mean, we
tweaks, you
table it
can,
and send you comments in the next 2 weeks, and you and Pat get together and come up with something more in line with all these. Can we vote on something potentially sooner? I'm just asking.
I don't think, I really don't think we can. And I hear the folks that are, we need something. If we enforce the current ordinance we have, it does not allow clear cutting. So we've seen a lot of development permits pulled in anticipation of this, but this is the chance for those guys to shine. Let's enforce what we've got while we're waiting, but let's not rush to get something done because we have an ordinance in place. Yeah, it doesn't have some of the tree protection elements. The penalties aren't as great, but we have something in place right now, so we can try to get it right. But it may be a start over. I mean, if we're saying maybe to look to Biloxi, it could be back to the drawing board. So.
I think it's best to go back to P&Z because there's too much missing out of it that needed to be put in. There's too many controversial topics, and then the format I think we have issues with. So we need, and if it's starting over, it's better to get it right, have everything in it we need, and get it approved instead of doing what we did in 2016 and then suffering through it. But 16, really looking back,
It's not.
no.
It's not
Okay,
terrible.
we just need to get it right. So.
I mean, another thing which an exercise I may look at is taking 16 and just trying to incorporate some of these things
That probably
instead
would
of a
be
complete
quicker.
rewrite.
That would be
I
not
know.
quicker, but more proficient.
I think one of the concerns out there are from this point here until we get it done, what's happening.
Well,
I hear that from a lot of the
that's the
residents.
point I addressed. People are pulling permits to develop lots, and so we have mechanisms. You cannot clear cut a lot right now. So the tools we have in place right now, stop work order.
Okay.
All those, we have some of the tools, but again, we need to hire some people.
Okay.
So,
Don't cut
I
down
mean,
the trees.
that doesn't happen overnight. I mean, but if we hire somebody, and Pat and I and Bo go over the current tree ordinance with them, we can arm them, with the knowledge to look at enforcement. And they're doing it now. As people are, the biggest, the time when the tree ordinance is violated is not when folks come to City Hall and say, hey, I'm building a house, and what do? I want to build a permit. They don't come to City Hall. They do it on a weekend, they get their cousin on a backhoe, and they take down the entire lot. Or they dump, this much dirt on the lot. They don't get a permit to do that. They don't get, so people are going to violate the law. There's no ordinance that you're going to put in place. I mean, when we had the training with Oxford's folks, it was their tree ordinance they talked about, and they have a historic building preservation ordinance, and they said a guy just went with his bulldozer and knocked the building down on a weekend. He didn't want to renovate it in the way that the city was going to allow, so he just knocked it down. So every city has this problem where folks they'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission. So one of the things that I really like about the Oxford ordinance is that provision that does have a 2-year moratorium if you do violate the ordinance. You're not developing for 2 years unless you pay a hefty fine and come up with a reforestation plan. I think that's a positive.
And that's another thing that needs to be tweaked, that it runs with the land, that
Absolutely.
moratorium, not
I
with the
agree.
owner.
I'm making that note right now, Gerard.
All right, well, I think we've discussed it enough. We have an amended motion on the table. City Clerk?
Finley?
I got lost. This is
So
about
this
sending
is-
back to
This is
P&Z.
Yes,
to
yes, it is.
amend, yeah, to send back to P and Z.
Yeah.
Finley?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
Cumberland?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Marr?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. 2023-317, motion to adopt resolution 2023-038, thereby confirming existing election wards and polling precincts for the city of Diamond Head, municipal elections and other related purposes. Motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Marr, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilwoman Lisi. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my right? City Clerk?
Finley?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
Cumberland?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Marr?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. 2023-218, public hearing. Motion to adopt resolution 2023-039 to adjudicate that the piles of debris at 6435 Kona Way, parcel number 132R010-028.000, 132R-010, -030.00 through 12R0-10-032.000, 132R-0-10-046.000 through 132R-0-10-051.000 are amendments to public health, safety, and general welfare of the community. Authorization to advertise for bids and obtain quotes to perform the necessary services to remove the piles of debris from the property and assess the cost to said property and for related purposes. The property owner is DPD LLC. The registered agent is Bradley K. Drude. Okay, is Mr. Bradley Drude here? I'm calling once the public hearing is opened. Bradley K. Drude. Calling for a third time for the public hearing, Bradley K. Drude. Okay, we have one public comment for the debris piles located on Kona Way. Mary, would you like to come forward? Kanoa, I'm sorry. Honey, it's been a long night. Kanoa Way, this is Mary Coyne Jackson for council.
If we
legal
all
coun-
hate clear cutting, it probably, and Bo is busy, you might want to ask all citizens to call City Hall as soon as they see clear cutting done, so we can help him out. But we have trees and trash that have been on the said lots, and it's been there for a long time, piles. Now there's trash that's also building up. It's a fire and hurricane hazard, safety hazard. We thank the fire department for watering it down. The area has been staged with a truck and whatever, but there's no action been taken. So it is, beside it being a fire and hazard at the time of a hurricane, which it could blow into our homes, the area's been staged, but no action has been done, and it is unsightly. And this all happened like very, very quickly, that it was clear cut, and so we'd like to support action by the city to move ahead and remove this.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thanks for your concerns. Dr. Jackson?
I just want to mention that basically we're talking about 6 or 7 piles, some of which are public here in the scene here. It's just over several lots. That's a disaster.
Okay, just for clarification, 6 or 7 lots, the piles are up about 10 feet, 12 feet, maybe 20 feet. They're up high. And I know you all had sent an email, Geraldine, it was on the 28th of June, I remember getting yours.
Yeah, and all this pile, these huge piles of trees are all dead now.
Right.
So they're a tremendous fire hazard. And also, the people that cut those lots, that clear cut, Bo, y'all did a good job. You and Pat went over there and put a stop work order on them right away. Then they came back and they were allowed to clear and leave so many trees. They damaged the standing trees so badly that they are all dead now. So there's more of a fire hazard. Trees can fall on the power lines. Lightning, hurricanes can blow all this stuff. It's been a mess for several months. And since March. And why, I know you were saying that sometimes these people go in there and they start doing things without a permit. These people got this property through an auction. There was no reason, they don't have permits to build a home on that property. So why have they gotten a reason to clear that property? Good question. And it's a property that is not on the water, it's on a V zone, a high velocity zone. They have to build to very high standards, hurricane standards, FEMA standards. That property may sit there forever, but yet they've got all this debris and everything on there that's been sitting there. And besides an eyesore, it's a big hazard to the property owners nearby. It looks like a train that happened. It does.
I have to agree, it does. Yeah, but what we're doing right now, so we're having a public hearing. The city manager then is gonna get quotes, or possibly we have to advertise to bid when we see where the cost threshold is for the work. It's a lot of work that needs to be done. And then at that time, the cost will be assessed to the property, which means the city attorney will put a lien on the property for the costs associated for the work that needs to be done to remove the trees.
Yeah, this is, the 21-1911 process is one of the strongest state statutes that we have to clean up properties that are a danger, that are a menace. The issue is there's certain notice requirements that we do have, but it does allow the city, as the mayor properly said, to get bids to go do it, and it will be placed as a lien. And the city also, this will be a continuing resolution that the city will be passing that allows the city to go back out there as well. So if some of these other trees, are problematic, we can go back out. So, and assess that as a lien. We're limited to the amount that we can assess each year, but we'll be within that, I believe, here. So this is the step and that, we do so that we will not be waiting on the owner of the property or the developer, whoever, to come out and remove the tree. We will be doing it. We will be getting it done. We understand. Yeah, we understand. It's going to be, it's.
You still got to go through the normal purchasing process.
So
unfortunately.
he'll be looking and getting bids. We'll go with the low bid, and one of the factors that he'll be looking at is how quickly can they get out there and do it. The fire department is aware. This is so they're keeping an eye on it as well.
I know a big thank you to Diamond Head Fire Department. They've been going out and watering the debris piles. So thank you, Diamond Head Fire Department. The process, if it has to advertise to bid, we have to advertise for 30 days. We got to go through the state procurement. Then they have to award the contract to whoever gets it. If he just needs,
I think we'll be below that.
He'll go below that. But then if he has to get quotes, it'll be a quicker process.
Much quicker
but not
process.
knowing the threshold of how much it'll cost, he can't say.
But
I think it'll be
I will
quotes,
say
too.
the property owner, as Ms. Jackson referenced, it has been staged. He has started clearing the lot. Now, did he take 3 loads off there? Maybe. But he has started clearing the lot. I'm sure this weekend's rain probably stopped him from
Not quick
continuing
enough.
doing anything.
Not
The
quick enough.
neighbors
enough,
are
I
not
understand.
concurring with your statement there.
Right. So. Right.
Okay.
So, just keep in mind, this will cost the city money.
So
Possibly.
Is there any other public comments for the public hearing for the property located, as mentioned, owned by Bradley K. Drude? With that being said, City Clerk. Oh, a motion. Could I get a motion to authorize to advertise for bids or obtain quotes? Motion made by Councilman Clark, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilwoman Lisi. City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Motion to approve consent agenda items 11 through 17. Motion made by Councilman Finley. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. 2023-319, motion to direct city manager to establish a procedure for naming city property and create a required naming criteria. Motion,
Move.
second.
I second.
So motion made by Councilman Cumberland, second by Councilwoman Lisi. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my right?
Yeah, what, I want to know what you mean by naming city property. Are you talking about naming City Hall or city streets? What is
Well-
naming city property?
So my intention was, I know that the dog park committee wants to name the dog park after Mr. Gala, and I think that's great. So if we're going to do something like that, I think we need to start the process and establish some criteria and have a policy, and, you know, so we're doing everything right, and then it's the first time we've ever done it, to my knowledge, right?
That
So
I can
we just
recall,
need-
yeah.
We just need to set some guidelines and start the process, because I think, you know, there's overwhelming community support to do that. He was such a good friend to the dog park.
Yes, and he won't be here to see it built, and we're still looking for property. So, any other discussion? City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Motion to approve docket of claims DKT 230-997, DKT 231-039, in the amount of $148,662.24.
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Finley. Second.
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Motion to approve department reports. There was none in there. I know, I didn't see any. Is there any need for executive session?
No, ma'am.
And there's no non-agenda items? I think, did everybody speak that wanted to speak? And great job tonight, Diamond. Had people coming out and speaking. It was an excellent meeting. Thank you all for showing up. Okay. Before we recess, I just want to say that the Diamond Head Dog Park Steering Committee has worked hard looking at the location, and I feel, and I would like the council to please consider having it at the duck pond. The location is brilliant. Ms. Penny, that was an excellent idea. And moving forward, and let's get the dog park built, because the county, like I mentioned before, does not know that the county attorney is working on that property, and it's probably going to take a while. You're on it? Okay. Who else is thinking that's a good idea?
I'm not. I don't like the duck pond idea at all.
We do. Mm-hmm. Chuck?
What? I mean, I thought we already, we,
Is it okay to ask a question about that? If
Mhm.
it's near the library, which, you know, the location, I don't have a problem with, but what about all that tree? I mean, where exactly are they talking about? Because that's all wood.
It would be clearing trees.
It's not just.
And probably, if the library ever wanted to expand, it would be eliminating any hopes of them being able to ever expand. And the library is needing room today. They're already busting at the seams. Is that a correct statement, John? It's correct. The library needs to expand tomorrow. It's not big enough. Okay, so what are your thoughts on it?
I thought we wrapped this up. I mean, are we debating the merits of both locations right now? Are we opening this
Oh,
back
no, we're
up?
just looking, the dog park steering committee, we're just, being respectful of their time. They've
Well,
been
of
here 3
course,
hours.
but I thought we did that before.
Gonna at least look at the property over there by the library.
Okay,
That's
reach
what I-
out
that's what I
to
thought
the
it was,
county
I
administrator.
just thought that's what we
tomorrow.
discussed earlier. Did we not discuss that earlier?
Okay, I was asking,
I mean,
what are your thoughts on the duck pond?
Like I said, I didn't think it was big enough, but that's all I thought. But I would,
Mhm.
personally, I would have to ask the residents over there, because we know what even happened over at Twin Lakes. 2 years later, the people, residents there, wrote a letter in, none of us are for this here. 2 years later. Okay, so now we're just gonna go ahead and put something by duck pond without even asking the residents there? What happened,
Well,
we
why-
got all in this, and all of a sudden, we started getting emails from them.
Why would we ask if we didn't think it would be considered a site? I mean, first, we need to say, is this viable? Are we on board before we, because the committee.
Y'all spent 2 years on the last location, and 80% of the people that backed up to it were against it. We got a letter
No,
from
they
them.
were for it until somebody got with them at the country club. They were all for it.
I think that's a stretch.
No, we met with them. We sat in their living
Well,
rooms, and they were coming tonight.
It's Ward 2, and I got phone calls, and the people that called me were against
Okay.
it. So
We need to find a resolution and find a site for the dog park, because we have spent too much time on
Well, we
it.
agree, but y'all picked the location that was offensive to the neighbors. It had a sewer manhole. That's not our fault that y'all picked that location with those issues.
We have a location, the duck pond.
No, I mean, but we're being blamed for holding it up, which we didn't do. There
Okay,
was
well, we
location
have a
problems.
location, the duck pond.
Okay, is there a motion to do the is that what we're talking about
Okay,
right now?
I'll
What-
move,
what
I'll
is
move
this?
to authorize the city manager to work to have the plans updated for the duck pond. Can I get a second? See, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, you can spend that way.
All right, with all that being said, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Cumberland, could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.